This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're in Gibraltar. Probably the pastiest man. Is that racist? No, it's not, is it? Pasty? Is that racist? No, it's not really, is it?
Do I get paid for it?
Yes, I will pay you something for it.
Racist then? Yeah, of course it is. I feel so offended. Who do I write to? I understand that. I understand.
But you are looking a bit pasty. Do you tan? You look very white.
I do. You'd be surprised, especially my head, because it's exposed to the sun. And and my roots are quite dark, aren't they? So I might get a little bit of. We'll see now. Or I'll be like a little red, little crispy, little skinny little thing crying, or I'll be all sexied up and tanned up and looking for love.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know what kind of interview you think this is, Mr. Barry Jones, but it's good to see you here in Gibraltar. You seem to be absolutely everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm not earning no money. Absolutely brassic. It's unbelievable. You're freelancing, so you need to work where you can and when you can, and I've been there. So I've been knocking doors and luckily, getting a few bits of work. Not enough, though. Not enough, I say. Not enough.
But I would say, and I think a lot of people echo his thoughts, whatever way anyone uses you in the field of boxing, right? Whatever way they use it, it's an asset to have you. Even if it's just for banter, just get Barry Jones in for a bit of banter. It's worth it.
I hate that word banter. It sounds sounds like you're all going to Twickenham to watch the rugby.
What word would you rather me use?
Having a laugh, mate. Having a laugh.
You're not a cockney, though.
To keep still here, I'm really fidgety, and I'm like.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Even if it's just to get Barry Jones in because he wants to have a laugh, mate.
No, yeah, well, I don't have a bit of banter and stuff. I'm good with that. Yeah, listen. If I can be used and I'm an asset, then I'm happy with that. But I'll do anything and for work within reason. 07970 121. But it's I'm floor managing Saturday. That's why I'm doing stuff obviously for Sky Sports News and Sky, but I'm the floor manager, or one of the floor managers for Saturday.
I heard this and I just thought it was the most random thing, as
Crazy, isn't it?
Barry Jones being drafted in as floor manager. So
well, I wouldn't get out here for work, and two, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be enjoyable. I sort of went to the show in Wembley for the Okoli fight just to follow Gary and Ralph around, who are the floor managers usually, and it's only because Ralph couldn't make it, one of the floor managers, and and Ed, I spoke to Ed Robinson, and I said I wouldn't mind having a go. And it's great, isn't it? I get to go to Gibraltar because of that. So I'm doing more work with my normal job this week. But for the one night on Saturday, I'll be doing that job, and I'm looking forward to it.
like I said, great asset, whatever you're doing.
Thanks, mate.
Absolutely.
It's like an advertisement, isn't it, for me, really? Can we put my Twitter thing on my Instagram?
It's the sex.
I don't know what.
Tinder. Are you on Tinder?
What's that? I'm on that Grindr thing, but I only get blokes messaging me. But I thought Grindr sounded more like a more of a Grindr, like a tough guy, like. So I went on that, but it hasn't worked out for me. I found out later, obviously, it's for men who like men. So, but I'm honest, you never know. You never know. It is what it is.
Okay. Thanks for that information, by the way, Barry.
I talk sense all the time. When I'm with you, I talk like an absolute idiot. So thank you.
It's all right, fine. We're in Gibraltar, the sun's out, blah, blah. Barry, let's talk about the main event, Rumble on the Rock. Why does Dillian Whyte need to be careful this weekend that it's not a repeat and it is a revenge?
Well, because you can see, even though he's slower at foot and hand than he was in Povetkin, he is aging, but he showed in the last fight he's still dangerous. And and if you allow him close and he can dip over that front foot, then he can knock you out. So I think he has to be cautious. I'm not cautious. I think he has to go out there with intent, Dillian Whyte, but he has to maintain that distance, and that's behind a solid jab. I think adjustments have to be made, but they're not massive adjustments, I would feel, for Dillian still to win. He was doing well in the first fight. I don't think, in retrospect, looking back, I don't think that Povetkin was as hurt as maybe we first thought when we were watching it live. But still, he was hurt, and he got hit with some good shots. But Dillian allowed him close, and he allowed him close because he was having success with Povetkin in close. So why wouldn't you? I can understand the reasons why, because Dillian likes to block and hit you. So even though he's aggressive, Dillian, he's a little bit of a counter puncher as well. So he wants you the close, so he can do that. But he needs to keep on ahead of a solid jab. And I think with Harold Knight in his corner, obviously with Lennox Lewis, who had a fantastic jab and a real strong, solid jab with Emmanuel Stewart, And I think that will, if they can implement that into their game, it makes it an easier night. Because again, Dillian's not a mover of any sense. So he's an aggressive fighter, but I think he can go forward behind that solid jab and keep Povetkin on his heels. I think that's it. And make Povetkin throw from an unsafe distance for him. If Povetkin gets anywhere inside that reach, he gets low, he can look up, he got a better view than you have of the target, and he can pick his shots. And so it's still a risky fight. And just stylistically, it's a risky fight for Dillian Whyte.
It seemed a tad disrespectful where there was a certain few that were branding Povetkin's knockout of Whyte as a lucky punch. I mean, that wasn't a lucky punch, was it? No,
it's not, because he did something that he does consistently. I think me and Matt Macklin did a show before the fight camp for Sky, and we focused on that, how he dips to the left, and he doesn't always throw that uppercut, but he dips to the left and he takes the right hand over the top. And you can look at replays. He sees that. He's done it with Joshua and David Price on Sky shows, if you want to just look at those. But he usually comes in with a big left hook. But just because he got low and Dillian went to throw a half a right hand, because he's lower, he's seen the uppercut, so he come through with the uppercut. So it's just something that he does. It's a muscle memory technique of his that he's always done throughout his career. So it wasn't a lucky shot. It was a fantastic shot against the run of play. That's what you can say, to be honest. But apart from that, it was a shot. It was a movement that he's done time and time again. So it wasn't. And Dillian didn't do that much wrong. You can understand why he was on top. He felt he had him down in the previous round. It felt like for everyone, including Dillian, that he was just going to go out there now and finish the job.
Depending on the nature of the defeat, rematch is always a gamble, and we've seen over the last few years, and we can go back to David Price's fight with Tony Thompson, which he took that immediate rematch and it didn't pan out for him. We've seen Anthony Joshua, after that horrendous night at Madison Square Garden, go and rematch Ruiz and comfortably beat him in Saudi Arabia. But what is the mentality? You can probably answer this from a fighter's perspective of when you lose a fight, and especially the manner of the defeats we're talking about. I mean, Price, Joshua, Whyte all got conclusively beaten in their fights. But what is the mentality to get out of that night, out of the ring, and say to yourself, get me the rematch and do everything you can, I want him next?
It all depends on the personality of the fighter, of course, but that he didn't. I think it was a horrific knockout. Let's be honest, it really was. But so that might have scars of itself. But I think they will only become evident the closer the fight becomes. When you're on your own, in your own thoughts, and only Dillian can answer that question. Really, he seems like a guy who won't affect. But that could be a persona. We don't really know. I don't think it is. I think Dillian's really one of those guys who, I'm in a fight, what will happen will happen. I think he's genuinely one of those kids. Or blokes, sorry. But he didn't get bashed up. So if you got beat up, totally beat up, like so Joshua, he didn't get knocked up with one clean shot, and he didn't get beat up throughout the fight. But those few rounds where they were hard for him, I can understand the demons there for Joshua and why he had to reinvent himself in a different style for that fight, because what worked for him didn't work. But for Dillian, things were working for him. He just got caught with a good shot. So it's just about concentration. But the demons and the worry will appear today, tomorrow. The closer the fight goes, if you got any worries about it, when you're in your own time and your own thoughts, especially that night before a fight, if you haven't trained right, you've skipped a little bit of training, something didn't go right for you, whatever it is, or the guy knocked you out the fight before, then it's usually when you're on your own, because you're constantly thinking about the fight, you can't relax, and then they will appear. But not for everyone. Some people have got that supreme confidence that they can, do what they want to do when at their best. They're going to beat anyone. I think Dillian don't quite have that, but he has the mentality of, I got caught, but I was winning. So I think you got to try and boxers. Two things boxers have to be: eternal dreamers, because to get where you are, to become what you become, is almost impossible to get there. Most of us come from working class or below backgrounds, and a liar, and to lie to yourself more than lie to other people. You always lie about our weight. No, my weight's great. I made the weight easy. Which is never always a lie, always. And also you lie to yourself that, no, I wasn't right that time. Or I'm better than this. And you're not always. You aren't always that. But you have to do that is to instill that self-confidence or that false confidence that gives you real confidence in the end. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Do you know what? I was just thinking as you were talking there, I was thinking, I was thinking about your Twitter feed, and then I think when I listen to you actually talk about boxing seriously, you actually know what you're talking about. But then I read you on Twitter and I think, What are you doing, Barry?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Boxing's my life, isn't it? That's all. You know, I'm not an expert at it. It's my opinion, what I think. So you might think something different, and I don't argue with that. You'd be wrong, of course. But no, but I don't think I know. I'm the be all and end all. Otherwise, I'd be training all the fighters in the world, and I'd be a multi-millionaire. I give my opinion, and if you like it, it's good. If you don't like it, then that's fair enough, and I can't argue with that. Because you know, I've never trained a kid in my life. So what do I talk about what he should do or she should do. But what do I know? I've boxed, of course, at a decent level, but I don't know. My assessment is what is my opinion, and that's all it is. And it's the right opinion.
What other fight on the card are you most looking forward to? There's a couple of really interesting matchups on that card.
It's really, I think McKinson Congo is a real interest to me. I've seen McKinson quite a lot of his career, of course, so so I'm really looking forward to him and see how he gets on, because Congo's a real test, a real good fighter. But the fight that you've got to be looking forward to, which might steal the night, is I was going to say Shane Erie, is JJ Metcalf versus Ted Cheeseman, of course. But it's because it's just got war written all over it. I think it'll simmer to a boil. I don't think it'll start off straight away. I think they'll both try and box a little bit, because Ted's tried to box a little bit more and he's boxed a little bit better in his recent fights. And JJ, even though he's tough, Metcalf, he does box. But at some point, Ted will revert back to type and want to walk through you. And because we know how tough Metcalf is, and he's got a little bit of his dad Shane Erie in him, he'll stand his ground and give it back. So I think after 4 rounds, it's just a tear-up. And that'll be the best fight of the night. It's all about, of course, it's all about Dillian Whyte and Povetkin, obviously, but I think that'll be the fight of the night by a million miles.
Add to that, quite a random fight between Eric Pfeiffer and Nick Webb, and also the fight between Fabio Wardley and Eric Molina. But again, the anticipated debut of one of Manchester's, or if not Manchester's finest son in Ricky Hatton. Campbell Hatton will make his pro debut this year, and the more time you spend around Campbell Hatton, you can see how just everything about him just says Ricky, doesn't it? His personality, the lot.
It does, you know. For a kid who's grown up, he's a rich kid. To be honest, he's grown up as a rich kid, but he doesn't sound or act like a rich kid. I don't know what a rich kid sounds or acts like. But a bit like you. A bit like you. Yeah, I know that. He's not a trust fund baby like you are, but either I don't know where that comes from. But you know what I mean? He still sounds very normal and sounds like one of our own, I guess. You know what I mean? You think he grew up as rough as Ricky had in many ways, which that's probably not a compliment to him, but he sounds unnatural behind the camera. He looks. Well, we haven't seen him in box yet. I've seen clips of him as an amateur. He looks good and he looks aggressive, but it's who knows? It's a big pressure having that hat and tag, that name with you. You can easily say you get all these opportunities like boxing here, and getting on primetime TV, for his debut. But there's more pressures. There's more negatives, I feel, than positives, because the pressure. He's never going to be good enough until he is good enough. He's not going to be able to develop like other fighters are. Like we had him on the Sky podcast, and I did say that it'd be good to have a chat with Conor Benn, because Conor's had the same thing. The criticism he had because he didn't look great when he turned pro, but also he's been compared to his dad from the offset. Well, that's not fair on anybody. Like look at the poor Campbell. No, they're going to go because he's going to box similar to his dad, I would guess, similar. But they go straight away. Someone now Saturday night is going to, after this fight, when he wins, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll look great. Someone's going to say he's nowhere near as good as his dad. I'm going to go,
or he's only there because of his dad.
There's two things, but either way, so it's like, but his dad wasn't. The Ricky Hatton we seen against Costa Zoo wasn't the same fighter when Ricky turned pro. And Ricky had a massive, he boxed for England as an amateur, where Campbell's had maybe 30 fights as an amateur. Won a novice championship. So the lack of experience and stuff. But also he's going in. They know what they knew this before he turned pro. So you have to learn to deal with it. We all have our own little pressures. Some of us have to go through the small halls and beg for jobs and take jobs at short notice, like I did, to get to a championship level. That's just we feel sorry for ourselves. And he's going to have all this pressure on his young shoulders that he's going to have to deal with. All the cameras. If a normal undercard fighter would have had no one talk to him today, or yesterday or tomorrow, he'd have one interview, and he's having as many as Dillian Whyte. So but Ricky Hatton's the last work for me. I don't follow many other sports, but he could be the last working class hero we've had in sports. Ricky Hatton, I feel, I really do. Because he brought the whole working class to Vegas, and the following he had, and he kept him within his people. Nowadays, everyone goes from the amateur system, they go from that elite squad, so they're already moved away. Footballers now, you don't see them like you used to when I was a kid in your local pubs or clubs anymore, because they're superstars and they're taken from academies and you don't see them. So they're almost like revered figures. But he wasn't. He stayed with his people. Even though he was worth the millions, he still stayed with his people. So on the top of my head, he's the last working class hero in sports that I can think of. So, it'd be good if there's another one of those. If he can bring that same unity, that if Campbell can bring that same unity that Ricky did. When Ricky boxed, I was working in a school, right, teaching kids, doing a thing called self-esteem through sport. It was a fantastic project, and I'm ashamed it's finished. But when he boxed Floyd Havard, he's a Welsh fighter. You didn't know what Floyd Havard, brilliant fighter Floyd Havard, could have been a world champion. When he boxed Floyd Mayweather, even my school kids were singing "There's only one Ricky Hatton." It was just like everywhere I went, it just took over the nation. It was fantastic. Now this is not about Campbell now. It turns into a Ricky Hatton living, and that's what's always going to happen with him, until he steps out of his dad's shadow and becomes a world champion himself.
Okay, that's good. Barry Jones, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Have you got anything else you'd like to add, anything you'd like to promote, get off your chest? If you've got the ump with someone, you can tell them. If you love someone, tell them.
I love everyone, don't I? That's the thing.
The ump with anyone?
No, I don't, do I? I don't anymore. The things have been put there.
More?
Oh, no, I don't really have the ump, do I, with people? It's... With who?
It could be the milkman delivered it late one day.
The milkman. Without the milkman, I wouldn't have my kids, so, I love him. He's given me a gift, haven't he? You know what I mean? Don't pay for them, by the way, but he's giving me a gift. No, listen, I need more work. That's what I need, more work. I got all these kids, and it's all right for you. You flash little brand new camera and huge red microphone, which is too close to my face, I feel.
Which is looking a little bit like you.
Like this one. This is me in 3 days' time. No, I don't. No, thank you. Thanks for having me on, mate. I haven't seen you for a while. It's been good talk.
Well, Barry Jones, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Enjoy your time here in Gibraltar, and let's hope it is a rumble on the rock.
It's going to be a good night. I'm looking forward to it.